Here's our new Mustang. So before we even attempt to start it up, let's change the oil. Okay. All these old cars, they're basically the same. This is a 289 V8 and it's got a 4-barrel carburetor on it. But if you're changing oil, you have to look at a couple things. First, locate the dipstick so you can tell. This one happens to be full. Okay. Now the next thing, you have to locate the oil filter. And here is the old oil filter, one of these crank-on ones. So, then the next thing, and where would you fill it? They fill on the valve cover on this particular one, so you have to take this off, because if you look at this side, there is no spot to fill it. Let's go down on the bottom and we'll take the filter off and we'll drain the oil. So here's the oil plug right here on the pan. Now remember, do not put your jack on this oil pan because you're going to do damage to it and you may have to replace it. Okay, this happens to be a 7/8. So go, because it's going to go this way. It's going to go this way. Alright, now what I'm going to do is lower the car so all the oil will drain out from the oil pan. So let me stop for a second. See, by lowering the jack, the car is level, so all the oil will come out of the car. And this happens to take 5 quarts with the filter, but we need to take the filter off first. Be careful not to strip it. Make sure it goes on by hand. So it's clockwise to tighten it. That's enough. Don't need too much. Whip up that oil. Okay. Now I'll go after the filter. Okay, it's a little dark down there, but here is the oil filter for the car. All the V8s Fords are in this location. Okay, so geez, I can't get that off. I don't know who put that on, but anyway, I have a filter wrench here, and what happens is you just put it around and catch the edge over there, but then turn it, and it slowly comes off. And that's all you need this wrench for, is just to give it a start. So then you just simply twist it right off. There it comes. Just like that. Okay, here's the new filter. So, you want to put oil, just a drop, all the way around there. So here's my little trusty oil can. Just put a touch on there, and I'll just go all the way around to make that easy. It's easier to put on, and then it'll seal it. Okay, now I wipe the other side here, wipe all that clean, so it's got a nice clean surface to go on. And then it goes. Just you gotta line it up. Once you line it up, it'll go on real easy. And when I tighten these, I tighten it as tight as I can by hand. That's all. Okay, so here's how to use these filter wrenches. This is from a Chevrolet, but same thing, same. So here's how it goes on. You just slip it on over the top, bring this back, and now it hooks on there. So to take it off, you go counterclockwise, and you have to move it, no big deal, and it comes off. So real handy. If you're going to do a lot of oil changes, I would suggest you buy one, because sometimes these are real hard to get off, and if you put a screwdriver through here and try to turn it, it'll make even a bigger mess. I went to the auto parts store to buy another filter. This is what I took off. This is what they sold me. See, it's a little bit different in size. So I talked to this guy who owned a 64.5 Mustang, and he says this is what they put on the cars now. And you can see the rubber seals. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, what a mess. Oh well. Okay, so here we are back again. You can see the seals are the same. They match right up there. It's just that the physical canister is a little bit bigger. So this guy that works at the auto parts store owns a 64.5 Mustang for years. He said this is the correct filter, even though it's a little bit larger canister. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Okay, so now that we have the filter on, we drain the oil, put the plug back on. Now, there's a filler cap. Now let's put oil in the car. Okay, I have my little funnel, and I am putting in 1040. Because that's what I run on my Chevelle. It's a 350. It may say something else for a manufacturer, but owner's choice. That's what I say. Ooh. Alright, that makes 5 quarts. Okay, back on. So now, if we look at the dipstick, oh, let me get a rag. Here's a dipstick. 1, 2, 3. And it says it's over full, and that should be right, because the oil filter is empty. So once the car starts running, it'll fill up the oil filter and then it'll go back down a quart. Okay, so what I'm going to do, crank it over so the oil can fill up into the oil filter, because I'm not ready to start the car yet. So I cranked it over a little bit and the oil pressure gauge came right up. So that means all the oil went through the filter and is going into the engine. But I'll have to check later on after I start it if there's any leaks on the oil filter or any leaks from the bottom. And rechecking the dipstick again. Well, you can't see, but it went down a little bit. But it'll straighten itself out for sure later on. So now that we changed the filter, put oil in the valve cover over here, and we checked it, and we were a little high, but no big deal. Let's start the car and see if anything leaks. Okay, so it's really important to check this right away. Okay, there is the plug for the oil pan. That's not leaking. And then, if you can see, right in here, well, gotta be careful. Right in there, there's your oil filter. There's no water, there's no oil leaking. Once again, there's the oil filter. It's on there. It's not leaking. That's the first thing you got to check. So, after you do the oil change, like I say, you look underneath right away because you want to see if the filter's leaking or if the oil is coming from the oil pan. Most likely never from the oil pan. But sometimes the filter, you don't put it on 100% and it starts leaking. If you don't check this, depending on how it is, you can leak out the entire motor spool of oil in no time, and then you didn't get any benefit from changing the oil because the motor's no good. But anyway, make sure, that's number one thing, check to see underneath. Okay, now we got to do one more thing. Gonna wait for the car to sit down, calm down a little bit, let all the oil go back down, and we'll check the dipstick one last time. Okay, we waited a few minutes. Let's see what the dipstick says. One, 2, 3. Okay, so it's right there, right on the full mark. So like I said before, we put 5 quarts in, and it takes 5 quarts with the filter. So what happened is reading high. But once you start it, the oil goes inside the filter, and then it comes back to normal, which is straight full, with approximately 4 quarts of oil in the oil pan. So that's how that's done. And the more you do it, the easier it gets.